I want all the women to know this is a judgment-free zone. Whatever decision they make, we're going to be there no matter what for them. And so we just want them to have the best information so they can make an informed choice that's going to be best for them in the long term.
We want to empower you to make fully informed choices about your pregnancy and parenting options. Let's talk about what's next now that pregnancy has entered the chat. So Angela, welcome to the Pregnancy Has Entered the Chat podcast. We're very excited to have you on for our first episode.
I'm very happy to be here today.
Awesome. So I would love for you to introduce yourself and your background and then what your role is here at the Pregnancy Network.
Sure. Well, my name is Angela Jackson, and I come from a background of counseling. I got my bachelor's degree at Gardner-Webb University. At that time, it was Gardner-Webb College in religious education. Then I went on to Southwestern Seminary, where I got my master's in marriage and family counseling. And throughout my career, my heart has really been to work with families and women in different avenues. I previously, before coming to the Pregnancy Network, worked for about 16 years in the adoption field, working with women and families and placing their children for adoption. It was primarily an international adoption agency, but we did do domestic adoptions as well.
That's really cool. So heart for adoption, and then that transitioned into you being here. So what is your why for working at the Pregnancy Network?
Well, it goes back to the very beginning of time. I always felt like that I wanted to be in a place where I could minister to women and families in need, to walk with them in the journey. Sometimes it was a hard journey, but to let them know that there was hope and to give them the resources that they need to be successful in life, whatever that would be for them. And so that's kind of where God brought me to, was just working with families and women.
That's really cool. Really cool to hear that, and how from the beginning, from your master's in counseling, how that's all tied together. So what is the mission of the Pregnancy Network that ties into your personal mission?
Well, sure. So, we were looking at walking alongside of women to empower them to face their unplanned pregnancies without fear. We want to be able to give them hope and resources that they're not by themselves and they can do this. And so that's the biggest part of our journey with these women, is just to be there with them in their journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are such powerful words, just hearing you're not alone and you've got this. I'm sure that's so huge for women who maybe haven't heard that as they're walking into an unexpected season. So what does the history of the Pregnancy Network look like? How long have we been serving the Triad area? And then what has that journey of growth looked like for us?
Right. So we have been around for a long time. Since 1985, we've been serving women and families in our community. A lot longer even than I've been here, because I've been here for almost 2 years now. And I remember when it used to be in a little house on Elm Street, and now we're located in 2 different locations. Not only do we have our location here in Greensboro, but we recently opened up a location over in Winston-Salem. And then we have a mobile unit that we take all over the place to reach the women where they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so cool to hear, just the mission to meet women where they're at and how far it's come from the one house on Elm Street to now the 3 different locations, and one that can kind of cater to women where they're already living and doing life. So what type of medical services do we offer, and who performs the services at the Pregnancy Network?
So we provide a lot of services to our women here. We have registered nurses. We have 7 registered nurses on staff with over 100 years of experience. They come from different backgrounds, some from public health, some from, working in the emergency room and surgery, some that have worked as school nurses. We even have people that have worked in labor and delivery. And so we have a wealth of information there. And then we also have our medical directors that basically oversee all the services that we have, and they provide directions, our standing orders to our nurses. We have 3 volunteer medical directors, 1 in Winston-Salem and 2 here in Greensboro. And what we provide is we provide free pregnancy tests to confirm that a woman is pregnant, free limited ultrasounds, and then we also provide STD testing and treatment for chlamydia and gonorrhea, which is the most common form of STDs that we see. And so we provide all of those free of charge.
That is so cool. It is so cool that we do that free of charge. When I first came here and found the Pregnancy Network, I was just really impressed by the way that we're able to serve women regardless of their background and regardless of their financial status, that we can serve them and meet them where they're at with medical services. So the big question is, our mission statement is to empower women to face their unplanned pregnancies without fear. So how do we do that? How do we meet women where they're at? Outside from the medical services, how do we walk alongside them to face their unplanned pregnancies?
Sure. So in addition to our registered nurses that provide the medical services, we have peer advocates who basically advocate. That's what they do. They're there to walk alongside of the woman, to listen to her fears and concerns, to help her look at, areas of her life maybe where she needs help, and then to point them in the direction of, here are some resources, here are some things that we have to offer to help you face your unplanned pregnancy without fear, whether that be getting them connected to different community resources, pregnancy Medicaid, nurse-family partnership, housing referrals. We work with a lot of different community partners to say, okay, here is your need, and there's something that can help you with your need. And so those peer advocates are there basically to talk with the women, hear where they're at, what their support system's like. And for some women, they may not have a lot of support network. And so we help them get connected to that. Most importantly, we want them to have a healthy support network. So we have what's called Connect program. That's where the young women can be partnered with another woman that maybe's been through what she's going through, can be there to answer questions, to support her, talk with her, walk alongside of her in the journey. And so we try to get them connected to a healthy support network in their community.
Yeah, that is so cool that we do that. And I've really been encouraged by some of the stories that I've gotten to hear from women who have maybe joined the Connect program or maybe just took advantage of those resources that we do offer women and have come out of it saying, man, I came here for one thing and I got 4 other things. I got someone who went through the same things I went through, as you said, or someone who was able to support me in a way that I didn't even know I would get out of an appointment at the Pregnancy Network. So that's really awesome. So a big concern that a lot of women have when they're coming here may be, okay, so I just found out I'm pregnant. I don't really know what this journey is going to look like for me. How am I going to be supported now that I am pregnant, but also once my child is here? Could you speak a little bit about the resources that are available to women before, during, and after pregnancy?
Right. So I think I previously mentioned pregnancy Medicaid is something that will help most of the women that we serve get them the resources they need to keep themselves healthy while they're pregnant, and then also follows them after pregnancy as well. And nurse-family partnership is another thing that we really love to talk to the women about, as a connection there where a registered nurse will basically do in-home visits with them during their pregnancy and after pregnancy. We also have classes to help women. So we do a pregnancy class, 101, and a parenting class as well that does, nutrition, being healthy during your pregnancy. What does labor and delivery look like? Should I breastfeed or not breastfeed? Do an infant CPR. And then just, childhood illnesses in our parenting class. Things to help them after they've had their baby. Like, okay, I've got this little boy or little girl in my arms, and what I'm going to do with them now, and just providing those resources and education.
That is so awesome that we do provide those classes, because they're also taught by really distinguished doctors and professors and people who are very knowledgeable in their field, and getting that information into the hands and into the minds of new parents, I think, is super huge. Just telling them you've got this, but then actually walking with them every step of the way to show them how they've got this.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's really neat that we've seen this past year is that we hired a Spanish-speaking person to do outreach to those in our community that need those extra resources. And so we've offered classes in Spanish as well. And so we can reach that population to let them know they're not alone, because a lot of times they feel alone. They can't speak the language. They don't know where to find the community resources. So we're able to provide that to the Spanish-speaking community as well.
That has been so encouraging. And then also having another part-time employee just come on who speaks Spanish as well, and really expanding our capacity to serve women in the Triad in multiple languages now is really, really awesome and encouraging. So how can listeners who maybe are located local in the Triad make an appointment with the Pregnancy Network or connect with us?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of easy ways to do it. I mean, you can always Google the Pregnancy Network. That's probably the easiest way for some people to do that. That's how a lot of people find out about us, is on our website. And there's a place there where you can go that says request appointment online, and you can do that. Or you can give us a call. And I think there's a link that will appear on the podcast showing you the phone number and how you can reach us. You call. We do ask that the woman herself call and make the appointment, because there's some sensitive questions we need to ask her over the phone to make sure that we're making the appointment for her at the right time. Mm-hmm. And so we encourage women to give us a call or, fill out the online appointment request form.
Awesome. So, Angela, I would love for you to tell me a little bit about the options that are available to women who are facing an unplanned pregnancy.
Sure. I think that's probably one of the hardest things for women. They come in from a point of fear and uncertainty and not knowing what to do. And so as they meet with our nurses and with our peer advocates, we say, you have options, and we're going to give you information about all of your options. You can carry to term and parent. And what does that look like? What are the challenges of parenting? What resources are there to help you be a parent? You can also carry to term and choose to place for adoption. And a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know if I, could carry this child and then make a plan for adoption. But, adoption has changed a lot over the years. And the woman who's pregnant, she gets to decide what type of family she places her child in. She gets to choose whether she knows, and has an open relationship with them or not. So she can choose to, place for adoption. And then, of course, we do talk to them about the choice of abortion and what that would look like, both physically and emotionally and psychologically and spiritually, how that can affect them. And then we talk to them about, if they decide to have an abortion, there may be some things that they need help with. And that's the reason, in addition to that pregnancy and parenting class I talked to you about, we do what's called an abortion recovery class. And so we sit down with the women, not to tell them what to do, but to listen to their situation and then talk to them honestly about all of their options, what it looks like, and then empower them to make the best choice for them, not only for that very moment in time, but in the future as well, because we want them to have a healthy choice not only now, but also in the future.
Yeah, that is so good to think about, talking through in an open space and really giving information that is just clean information, that's reliable information to women who may be hearing a lot of things from different people in their lives, and giving them a space to process that. I think is so cool that we do talk through all of their options on the table. You mentioned adoption, and I know that's kind of something that's really near to your heart. What organizations do we partner with here at the Pregnancy Network for the different types of adoption that you mentioned?
Right. So we have a couple of community partners that we deal with, Lifeline Adoption and Christian Adoption Services as well. And they're always available just to have a conversation with a young woman that may be thinking about it, and there's no pressure. It's basically, they want what's best for the woman. And so they'll, regardless of what her final decision is, they're there to answer questions, to be a support to her, to provide counseling if needed. They'll even come and talk with the young woman on the phone if she's here that day. So if she's thinking about maybe adoption, we can call them on the phone, and an adoption counselor can either come here and meet with the young lady in person or talk to her over the phone about all of those options. And just all of the options we discuss, I want all the women to know this is a judgment-free zone. Whatever decision they make, we're going to be there no matter what for them. And so we just want them to have the best information so they can make an informed choice that's going to be best for them in the long term.
Yeah, that is so, I've seen that from our clients. I've seen the reviews come in on Google, and also getting to watch some of our clients' stories. I've seen how women just feel this is a safe space for them and feel that this is a judgment-free space, and that we are willing to, and more than willing to, happy to walk with them as they make a choice, and also after they make that choice. So
right. And we do have women that come in, and whatever choice they make, they feel safe enough that if they are having maybe difficulty in processing the decisions they make, they still come back to us and say, hey, can we talk through this again? And we're more than open to be here available for them, whatever their choice happens to be.
So what would you say to someone who's listening to this and maybe just found out that they're pregnant, or has known that they're pregnant for a little while but doesn't know where to go and is afraid to maybe make an appointment?
I would just say, give us a chance. Just call us, talk with us. We want you to know you're not alone. And there's hope for you, and there are resources for you, and there are people that care about you, regardless of what situation or background you come from. We want to know that you're loved here, and that you be supported here no matter what.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. And I think that's so true of my experience being on staff here, and then also just watching women come through our door every day.
Right.
So what are some of the situations that women face maybe when they're considering abortion, and the obstacles that may be in their way to feeling like they can have their dreams and have the future that they're looking to have?
Right. A lot of times, young girls will come to us and they'll say, I can't be a parent now because I'm in school and I'm planning to, go on, and I want to be an attorney, or I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a nurse. And this is kind of interrupting those plans. And so we have to talk with them and just say, you know what? You can do both. You're strong enough, and you're brave enough, and you're capable enough. I think a lot of times women think they're not capable of doing two things at one time, but they are. As women, we can do multitask. We can do a lot of things. And even though it may be hard and it may be difficult, they can do that. They can be a mom. They can complete their school, and they can do that. And so I think that's probably one obstacle that women think they can't do, but they can. They just have to have someone to encourage them, and they have to make a plan for how to do that. And so we want to work with them to say, okay, this is where you are. So let's look at a goal here, and let's make steps towards that goal. And you can do that. You can still be a mom, and you can still complete your education. Finances is always a big concern, and housing especially. A lot of these women may not have what they think are the finances to parent a child. It's like I told them, if I waited until I had the money to have a child, I may have never had a child. But you can make plans to, parent your child. And also there's resources to help you financially. And then support network. Sometimes they say, well, the father of the baby, he's just not supportive. My family, they just wouldn't be supportive of me having this child. But there are other people that can come alongside of you. And eventually I've even seen the father of the babies and even the parents, after a time, come along and support the young woman. She just has to know that there's other people in her corner that will be there cheering her on, and that she can do this.
Yeah, that is so powerful to hear. And just the stories that we've seen of women who have walked through school or walked through a pregnancy where maybe parents weren't supportive or partners weren't supportive, but have really come out of the other side knowing that they are capable, like you said, and knowing that they can do two things at once or do something that's hard but so worth it. And I'm thinking of one of the stories we've heard of our clients recently of her saying, now I'm going to be doing everything for you. So it's like almost fuel on those dreams, on those passions that you already had. But it's now, wow, look at who I get to do this for even. So that is really powerful to hear. All right, so we've spoken a little bit about ultrasounds and our specific type of ultrasound that we perform here, which is the limited obstetrical ultrasound. So what does that entail, and who's eligible for those ultrasounds?
Sure. So as the young woman comes in, she will meet with our registered nurse who will do a medical assessment with her to determine if she's eligible for an ultrasound that day. If she is, she's going to get a free limited ultrasound. And what we mean by that is we're looking to see, is the pregnancy located in the uterus, to confirm an intrauterine pregnancy, make sure that it's not an ectopic pregnancy. We also look to measure the heart rate to see how fast the heart rate of the baby is, and then do some measurements to give you an estimated due date. And then from there, we try to get you connected with an OBGYN office to do continued follow-up care.
So, Angela, what would you say to someone who's listening and isn't local to the Triad, but is looking for resources like ours to help them with their unplanned pregnancy?
That's a great question, Chloe. There's help available no matter where you live at in any state. And there's a phone number, it's a pregnancy decision line coaching number that we can make available to any of your listeners, and they can call from anywhere they're at. If they're in Florida, or if they're in New York or California, and it'll get them connected to a resource center, a pregnancy resource center that can provide the same services as we provide here.
That's awesome. It's so cool to hear how we are just one piece of a larger movement looking to just care for women where they're at and provide free services to women who are making an important but can be scary decision. So that's awesome to hear. Angela, I'm so grateful that you took the time to come and be our first guest on the podcast, and just wanted to ask you if you had some closing remarks or just one last piece of advice to women who may be listening and are facing an unplanned pregnancy.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on today and just having an opportunity to let everyone know what we do here. And I guess my last closing piece of advice would be, don't go this alone. You're not alone. And even though it may be scary, and even though you may not be able to see what tomorrow holds, know that there are people here that care for you. They're available to talk with you and listen to you, to provide the support and the resources that you need to help you get to the place where you can make that decision that's going to be best for you now and in the future. So, just give us a call and, give us the opportunity to just meet you where you are and help you with what you need.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Angela. Great to have you on today.
Thank you.